Good evening, all. We can start with today's session. So, welcome to the Founders Tuesday session on digital healthcare. IIT Madras's HTIC's MedTech Incubator, along with TISIG Healthcare. So, we are combining and conducting this program. So, I'll just give a short structure of the program. So, we'll have a presentation followed by a startup interview, and then we have another startup to present. So, moving into the session without any more delay, we have with us Mr. Arun Kumar Ramasamy. He's the founder and CEO of Smart Health Solutions Private Limited. Over to you, sir, to start with the session. Yeah, thank you.
Sure. Thanks, Roshni. Can you hear me well?
Yes, sir. Please go ahead.
Okay, sure. Can you also make me a presenter?
Yeah, give me a minute, sir. Yes, sir. Try sharing your screen now.
Yeah. Okay. Can you see my screen?
Yes, sir.
Okay, let me see if I can make it full screen. Okay.
Yes,
Hi,
sir.
everyone.
Perfect.
Yeah. Hello, everyone. Good evening. My name is Arun Kumar Ramasamy, and I'll start talking about a small background about myself and my journey in doing this startup, and then I'll talk about what we are doing. All right. So I am an engineer by education. So I completed my engineering way back in year 2000 and had joined Cognizant. And I had created a small name for myself there in delivering complex projects with life sciences customers, right? So I was doing reasonably well. And I was also fortunate to work in multiple geographies across US and Europe. And after a while it became a routine. I mean, in delivering those projects and taking on another assignment, and I mean, though I have been growing in terms of more people under me and growing up the ladder, somehow it kind of felt routine to me. So I thought I should do something else, and then I joined ZS Associates. Again, it's a consulting firm. Again, had a I mean, I was fortunate to work with some of the brightest minds, right? So I spent about 3 years with them. And I mean, throughout all this, I always had this urge of doing something on my own, right? So and I always used to satisfy that urge by creating some solutions or creating some internal tools that helped in delivering some of the projects for these organizations, right? So I mean, it was used both in my own projects, and and I was also able to make others use those solutions or the tools that we had built. Um, so that's how I have been satisfying my curiosity or urge to develop things, right? But then this urge of doing something on my own has always been with me. And at a point, I mean, I hit an inflection point, I would say, where I realized if I don't start something on my own new, then I will not probably not do it in this life, right? So at that juncture, I mean, one of my friend had also shared this quote um, with me, saying, I mean, everyone has two lives, and the second one starts when we realize there is just one, right? So that that inspired me a lot, and I decided to take a plunge. So I quit my job, and with so many hopes and dreams, I started this startup journey a couple of years back, right? Um, so here, I mean, yeah, like I said, with all the initial euphoria and everything, I had registered a startup, and I was fortunate again to be associated with HTIC, right? I mean, where Mudsa gave me a, I mean, I got pre-incubated. And yeah, I mean, originally we had our plan to build a vaccination platform Now in the hindsight, maybe we should have stuck with that one, but then we didn't know this COVID is going to come at the time in 2019, right? So originally we wanted to do something on the vaccination space, but then during the HTIC reviews and also the market study that we did at that time made us to not, we did not want to focus just on vaccination. Then we planned we will build a home healthcare platform, right? So then we spend some time, and then again, and there we realized probably it's not worth to have a very wide spectrum of things to take on initially, right? So that's how we then from vaccination, we went to home healthcare, and then from there, we again narrowed our focus to physiotherapy. So I'll talk why physiotherapy, right? So, if you see in the Indian healthcare ecosystem, physiotherapy is probably one of the most underserved segment, right? So what I mean by that is, if you look at the developed markets like US or Australia, mainly Europe, the physiotherapists play a big role in terms of pain management and rehabilitation of people, and they have a good reputation, and they play a significant role. Whereas when we look at Indian healthcare system, it's only in recent years this field is getting more acceptance and becoming more mainstream, right? And the physiotherapists also operate in a very different way compared to how a typical physician operates or a typical healthcare provider operates, right? So I'll tell you some of the differences. So one, physiotherapists spend a lot of time with the patients, right? So in terms of a average physician usually spends about 3 to 4 minutes with the patient, right? Whereas a physiotherapist spend anywhere between 30 to 40 minutes with the patient. So in case if you want to look at, if you visit a physiotherapist and if you don't have an appointment and if he's already booked, there is no way he can see you, right? So you'll have to go back again the following day or after booking an appointment. So in terms of scheduling the time and the time management is very essential for the physiotherapy. And the second one is they don't spend a lot of time in front of sitting in a desk or in front of a computer, right? They spend a time with the patient in a treatment table or at the patient's home sometimes. So which means that whatever we are going to do, it has to be mobile friendly, right? Which they can so they don't have to rely on a desktop or a laptop, and which should be able to be easily usable over the mobile phone, right? So that is the second one. And the third reason is also in terms of repeat sessions, right? These physiotherapy treatments usually is not for a single session, right? It goes on for weeks or months together. So the therapist, if he's saying, let's say if a therapist is treating 20 to 25 patients at a time, he should remember what was the treatment done earlier. He needs to remember the patient well enough, at least for the initial 5-10 sessions, right? After that probably it becomes much easy to remember, but then he needs to remember the treatments and conditions for all these 25 30 patients that he usually treats at a point of time, right? So these are the quirks, or these are the significant differences of physiotherapists and what they do when compared to a typical healthcare provider or a typical physician. And if you look at some of the platforms that are available in the market, they are built in a very generic way, right? That is built targeting a general physician or an MBBS practitioner in mind. So, so these physiotherapists, they either don't use any of those platforms, right? So they still use their Google Sheets or their own way of managing things, or they use these other platforms grudgingly, right? So that's why we thought probably we will be able to address this gap, or we will want to do something in physiotherapy, right? So that's where we thought we will build a physiotherapy focused solution, and we named it as Eagle Pro, and we started working on it since early last year. And when we started with a product, we built an MVP. We brought it to a stage where it can be at least the initial version can be used, right? And then fortunately we were able to find few co-creators, I would say. I mean, those are our customers, but then they were very willing to work with us to create this platform, because there is no platform like this available at this point, at that point of time. So we were able to work with them. We were able to create a product that they'll be able to use. And when we were about to launch this product, the pandemic struck, right? I mean, everything got locked down for months together. And I mean, we just didn't. I mean, we were at the point where we'll have to. I mean, it was a point where we had to just wait for months. And even after a few months, when the things started opening up, what happened was, I mean, some of these well-run centers which had a lot of patients on a daily basis, those footfalls have reduced to nothing, right? I mean, they themselves did not have enough visits or enough patients coming to the clinic, so they are not making money. So there is no point in selling them a new platform saying we have something like this, right? So it was a big blow, especially the wave one. But it also gave us an opportunity, right? I mean, at the time when we were looking at things and we were thinking what we should do, we thought maybe we should develop something else, right? I mean, not giving up on Eagle Pro, but then we thought we will do it one more thing. So we got an opportunity to create a post-COVID rehabilitation product, right? But I mean, we spent good 3 to 4 months on it and build it to a good shape, and that the users can really use it. But then it did not really pick up, because I mean, once you are a COVID patient, and even when you come out of it, you want that in-person treatment to be done, right? I mean, people are scared to take an remote or an online-based treatment, and they were willing to pay more, even if it is an I mean, to be next to the doctor, right? So it did not really pick up. So then we came back to Eagle Pro, and then I mean, some of the initial customers who had postponed, they were warming up to use it, but then again the second wave stuck and we are kind of slowed down. But now we are doing better. So we have about 80 plus therapists who are onboarded and who are using this platform. And in terms of the startup lifecycle curve that you see on the screen, I would say we are probably in this valley of death phase, right, or the chasm phase, and we are hoping to come out of it soon with more physiotherapists getting onboarded in this platform. I'll now talk about exactly what we do in this platform, right? So it's a Eagle Pro is a mobile-based clinical management platform dedicated to physiotherapy, right? So these are some of the core functions that we do. I mean, first we take care of the schedule management, right? It can be an outpatient visit, it can be an inpatient treatment, it can be a home visit or a remote appointment. We take care of the schedule, including any personal meetings and any unavailability for the practitioners, right? And we take care of, I mean, we also have a module to take care of their assessments and evaluations, which can be customized, right? I mean, within physiotherapy, you won't believe there are so many subcategories, right? I mean, there are people who do only, who specialize in ortho, I mean, there are people who specialize in neuro, there are people who specialize in neuro and so on, right? And sports. So there are multiple subcategories within physiotherapy, and our assessment module is configurable for each of these categories, right? And then the patient management is something where the physiotherapist will be able to keep track of the treatment history or the profile of the patient, including the accounting. I mean, since there are a lot of repeat sessions, sometimes the physiotherapist also, I mean, take a 8-session or 10-session package, and then they need to keep track of the accounting in terms of outstanding balance and so on. So the module takes care of that. And then another module that's very famous with the clinics is this Enquiry Management. Someone just calling up or inquiring about the clinic, how to convert that lead into the actual patient and make it a business, right? So I mean, that's an Enquiry Management module. We also give an option for the physiotherapy clinics to create their own exercises library, which they typically prescribe or they typically used to treat the patients. So they can create their own library that they can prescribe to the patients, right? And finally, the executive dashboard or the reports is the module that gives them an information in terms of the revenue growth and so on. So this is what we have currently built. and it is slowly getting traction, and we have people who are giving us good reviews in using it, and we are slowly growing, is what I would say. Okay. And this is not just the only product that we are working on, right? I mean, we are also very excited to be able to work on other products, right? So this one push is another product that we are working on. This we are planning to release soon, maybe in another week or so, in a beta mode for the users, right? So this is so I mean, this is an AI-based virtual assistant to keep track of your workouts, right? So let's say if you're doing a push-up or I mean, squats or lunges or any of these exercises, right? You may be thinking that you are doing it right, right? But then whereas we are able to create an AI-based system, which will actually, I mean, once you switch on the phone and keep it in front of you, and once you do the exercises, it will tell you whether you are doing it right, right? I mean, it will help you to correct it, whether your push-ups are being done correctly, or whether your squats are being done correctly. So it can, one, help you to correct the exercises. Second, it also keeps track of it, right? I mean, it will let you build a daily streak for 50 days, 100 days, and so on. So this is an exciting product that we are currently working on, and it will probably be released to a limited set of users in coming weeks. And then another product that we are working on is an AI-based physiotherapy treatment compliance, right? I mean, this is again similar to the other app, but then this is more towards the clinical settings, where when a patient is prescribed to do certain number of exercises, how we can use AI to make the patient do these exercises in front of a smartphone, and the smartphone will tell them whether they are doing those exercises correctly, right? Whether their back is straight, whether they are stretching their arms and legs fully. So those are some of the things that we are excited to work on. And incidentally, this is also a project that we are applied with big, and just today we had this TEP presentation. So we are hoping that this is something that we will continue to build, right? So these are the products that we are currently working on. And before I end this session, probably I'll tell you another quote, yeah, from Elon Musk, right? So when he was asked to give some encouraging words to the startup, this is what he said: "If you need inspiring words, you should not do it." Right? So this is a quote that I liked. So yeah, I mean, that's it I had planned for the presentation. We can take up questions.
Thank you, sir. So, any queries from the participant side? We have a hand raised, Mr. Anandabhatmanaban. You can unmute yourself and go ahead with your question. Okay, meanwhile, he shoots out his question. Do we have anybody else who would like to ask their questions? If in case your mic is not working, you can post it in the chat box. I can read it out for you. Any queries? Okay. So then in that case, thank you so much, sir. Thank you for joining in with us. So you can stay in with us for, and we are moving on to the next part of the session. So yeah, I think we have a hand raised.
Yeah, this is Anita. I just have one question from Mr. Arun. Mr. Arun, I'm sorry I joined about 10 minutes late into the call, so I'm not sure if you already covered. Pardon me if you've already covered this. Just want to know, especially physiotherapy, right? I mean, the first initial assessment becomes critical from a physical exam perspective. So, how is it that you're handling and that particular aspect? If you can just throw some light, especially as you rightly mentioned, right, physiotherapy has various specializations. It's not about general musculoskeletal health, but also specifics with respect to, say, neurological or other disorders. Becomes more critical in those cases. So, how do you handle that with your platform and your general services in general, please?
Sure. I think that's a very good question. So, I mean, the way we do it is we don't control or we don't restrict the assessments or evaluations by saying this is how you should do it, right? So we give that, I mean, we have built our platform in a configurable way, because even within the, let's say, let's take this ortho as a specialization, right? Even within ortho, a doctor A might do an evaluation which is different than a doctor B, right? So it will not be for an ortho, there will be a standard set of assessments or an evaluation module that we can build. So that's where we built it in a configurable way, where we give that independence to the individual clinics or the doctors to configure it the way they want, right? I mean, they can create their own categories, they can create their own parameters of the assessment, and they can define their own short-term goals and long-term goals, right? So we have defined it in a very flexible and a configurable way. So each of these specialties can configure it for their own purpose. Did that answer your question?
Got it.
Okay.
Thank you.
Sure.
Yeah, thank you, Anita. So we'll just take this one question in the chat box. Is this platform space already crowded, and what makes this unique?
Sure. So like I said, I mean, there are a lot of general clinical management software platforms available in the market, right? I would say hundreds. And I mean, if you just say scheduling, there are like thousands, but then if you look at clinical management platforms, probably around 100, right? And if you look at specifically physiotherapy focused solution, there are good platforms available in the international space. But I mean, in Indian space, you can count only, I mean, few, right? Very few. And I mean, we have our own set of differentiations when compared to some of those few other platforms that are available, where we are more mobile focused, right? I mean, we built a platform, we designed our platform to be mobile focused, that allows us to add functionalities like the location tracking, or the functionalities like some of these mobile-based evaluation and so on, that differentiates our platform from some of these other platforms out there in the market. So that's how we are able to differentiate ourselves.
Yeah, hope that answered his question. Thank you, sir. Thank you so much.
Thank
So
you.
if there are more queries, you all can post it in the chat box, and maybe at the end of the session, we can take it. So we'll move on to the next part of the session. It is the startup interview, and to chair the session, we have with us Mr. Mohan Narayanan. So Mohan sir is from the TAI SIG Healthcare Group. And to give a short introduction about Mohan sir, he is a founder and CEO of Kubos, best-in-class consulting and analytics startup. In his last corporate assignment, Mohan sir was part of the team that set up Cognizant Offshore, created and spearheaded their largest vertical at that time, healthcare and life sciences. So prior to Cognizant, he held leadership roles at Tata Burrups Limited, which is a technology business incubator, and also at McNeil and Maker Limited. He holds a master's degree in electrical engineering from IIT Madras. Mohan sir has held board level positions at Cyformix Corporation, which is currently called Covens, and Trigine Technologies. So he is a part of the executive committee of many industry bodies like TAI and SICCI. He's a member of IITM's Entrepreneurship Forum, and also runs PALS, a voluntary organization supported by IITM to augment the quality of engineering education in the country. Happy to have you with us, sir. So on the other end, we have with us Mr. Palaniappan. So he is the co-founder and CEO of Mocero Health Solutions Private Limited. Over to you, Mohan sir, to set pace for the session and go on with your conversation.
Thank you, Harshini. So, are you able to hear me okay?
Sorry, sir?
Are you able to hear me okay?
Yes, sir. Yes, please go.
There's some background noise coming from somewhere. It's not me. So anyway, so we will go ahead with the session. Parni, if you can hear me okay?
Yes, sir, I can.
Okay.
Good afternoon, sir.
Yeah, good to meet you again, Parni. And of course, you are a great inspiration for the budding entrepreneurs and also the initial stage incubators of the CIC and the incubation cell of IIT Madras and many other startups as well. So it will be good to hear from you most of the time. So I'm just going to probe you to share your thoughts. So that's what we will do. We'll make it very interactive, Palani, so that we get maximum benefit out of it. I also encourage the audience to start shooting your questions as you go along. Either Palani will read it, or feel free to jump in and ask any question as you may have. We have 20 minutes. So to get started, Palani, tell us about your company, Mocero Health.
Mocero Health, we started off with three basic motives in mind. One was to improve.
To interrupt, Palani, I can give you only 3 minutes.
Okay. So one was to use a data-driven approach to improve, say, the standard of care during the treatment process. Two is again use that data to improve the patient experience right from the time when the patient leaves the clinic setup to he comes back again. And the third thing is adding convenience to patients. So we started with a diabetes management platform, understood the points of interaction, the medical needs, and then as time went by, to suit ourselves better to the market, we expanded to more chronic, subchronic segments and multi-specialty hospitals. Currently, we have 3 products live. The first one is the diabetes management platform called Your Sugar. The second one is the chronic, subchronic segment products focused towards clinic, and small hospitals. That's called Curala. And a white labeled platform for larger hospitals under the name of Convenient Care. That's what we do as Mocero, sir.
Okay, brilliant. So what stage are you in? Are you making money?
Yes, sir. We've started making money in the last 1 year. Currently, we are doing a lot of SaaS revenues and software sales revenues. Transaction revenue started kicking in. We are looking at transaction revenue as the bigger play, and early in the journey, sir, but progressing in the right direction.
See, and I see this in many websites nowadays, and I saw it in your website as well, where you said you do a lot of AI and deep learning. Can you double click on it and tell us and tell the audience what exactly you mean by it and how do you do that?
Okay. So when you say AI and deep learning, we use it more for the consumer aspect of things. Medical AI and deep learning typically has a notion that it's an image-based or oncology deduction or medical, say, anomaly deduction. Now, we are not into that space. We use the data that's fed in by the doctors. So, for example, simple doctor prescribes a Glimisave. Now, that's a glimepiride molecule. A glimepiride molecule can be given when the patient cannot be given when the patient has a cardiac condition. Cannot be given when the patient has, say, a liver condition. Now, those are the areas where we work with data to improve standard of care when the doctor is prescribing. Number 2, when a patient is under glimepiride, let's say 6 months down the line, his hemoglobin levels need to be checked, his anemia levels need to be checked. So getting those kind of prompts up is what we are working on and focusing on. The second practical application that we are using is we have a chat bot which can converse with the patient between 2 visits, collect a lot of information based on the kind of treatment that he's undergoing and the phase of treatment that he's undergoing. So we have got like pre-built, chat models to communicate with patients for about 4 specialties. We want to expand that to about 20 chronic and subchronic segments, sir.
Oh, brilliant. So a follow-on question to that, Palani. So I understand that this is a very interactive kind of app, that will help a patient and a doctor communicate each other in a much better way.
Yeah.
How does it help in the quality of care that the doctor provides?
Okay, sir, we would love to work on that research. We are working with a couple of educational institutes to improve the studies on that research. But with the existing research, typically what happens in a caregiving scenario is the patient tends to visit the doctor once in 3 months in a chronic condition, a lifestyle disease, or based on the doctor's needs in other chronic and subchronic segments. The doctor gives a lot of oral instructions. The patient, as soon as he walks out, is overwhelmed with a lot of information and say questions about how he should follow. But it's not broken down into a daily characteristic. So it's a 15-minute face-to-face session with the doctor, followed by another 15 minutes after 3 months. What happens in between is where the care is actually. Those 15 minutes are more an advisory role. So you need a digital support to kind of keep the patient during that journey. Now, that's where we think digitally it will be really very beneficial for the patients to have an app like this. So the doctor could choose the customized plan, and then digitally this stays in touch with the patient till he comes back again. So that's where we aim to improve the quality of care. We want to do clinical research to confirm the improvement percentages and stuff, which we are working on currently, sir.
Okay. So what kind of technology infrastructure does the patient and the doctor need to have to use this application? Is it like a simple mobile phone, or do you need anything more?
So we started off, now it needs to be at the comfort zone of the patient and doctor. So any technology that needs to be built, at least I'm a firm believer that needs to sit in where the patient is. So if the patient has a mobile app, it's only a mobile app for them, an Android and an iOS app. Anything that they do needs to be in their hand. Information that they could want, add, update has to be there. For the doctor, we started off as a web platform, but slowly we are converting that to an omni-channel platform where it could be web, tablet, mobile. Voice could also be integrated, but we are not working on voice currently, sir.
So with that as a background, Palani, then my follow-on question is, how will you encourage the older generation to be part of your ecosystem?
So older generation, again, see, even within our experience, we found the pregnancy and gynecology segment to be much more active because they are more younger age patients, whereas diabetes, orthopedics is the adoption levels vary. So, but in diabetes, orthopedics, it's more the patient's say caregiver, like the family who uses the mobile more regularly. So technology adoption is a challenge, sir. So we are not fighting against technology adoption. We want to at least be the channel of communication or preference for the people who are ready to adopt it, because the challenge is both sides. One, we don't have platforms digitally where people could interact, engage, and stay in touch with the doctors. If it is there, then which percentage of the patient population adopts it? So right now, with the market being so open and big, we are focusing on being the channel of preference. Again, doctors less than 50 seem to adopt it, use it better. Greater than 50, 60 years find it difficult, but greater than 50, 60, they have the luxury of having their own assistants who can feed in. So challenges have to be overcome. We are focusing on that side. Patient adoption has been great under 45 years, sir.
Okay. So my limited understanding, Palani, of diabetes management These protocols may vary a little bit from country to country, region to region, or even doctor to doctor, hospital to hospital. How does your app facilitate that, or is my fear unfounded?
Sir, you're very true, sir. In India, the standard of care rests with RSSDI, but again, the publications, the research from that is quite minimal. Whereas the Indian diaspora is very different from the European or the US diaspora. Now, say a creatine at one point, say EGFR at 85, certain doctors might go ahead with certain medications, whereas a few doctors would not. Whereas the US standards strictly prohibit them under 45, EGFR less than 45. So we kind of make prompts, but we don't do a prescriptive suggestion to the doctors. We leave it to the doctors to do their practice. They are best judges of what the patient is. Now, say at no point can somebody say that EGFR less than 45, a certain drug can't be given. Even studies say that 90% of the time it is found harmful, but in 10% of the cases, there has been success. So the doctor is best left to decide whether the treatment is going to be successful or not. From our side, what we do is we make the suggestion uniform across and then leave it to the doctor to take the decision. So we are more a suggestive prompt than anything prescriptive, sir.
Oh, excellent. So who will be your customer, Palani? Is it, I guess it should be hospitals, right?
It is a B2B2C model, sir. So we make our revenue from the hospitals and the care providers. Patients.
Are they big hospitals, small hospitals, medium hospitals?
Yes, sir. So as I initially started, we have 3 products. So Your Sugar was initially focused towards the independent diabetologist, standalone practice with their own labs and pharmacies. Curala is more focused towards polyclinics, small hospitals, nursing homes, and hospitals less than 25 bed. Convenient Care is a platform focused towards greater than 50 bed hospitals, white labeled. Our journey is easy because we focus on the out of clinic experience. That is, from the time the patient leaves the clinic till he comes back again. So that experience is going to be same whether he visits a clinic, polyclinic, hospital, or a large hospital. So we have just pushed our product accordingly.
So would you like to be known as a healthcare solution provider, or you want to be called as a technology solution provider?
So we would like to have this tag of a healthcare solution provider, because between healthcare technology provider and technology solution provider, the difference is understanding the medical terms and the touch needs and follow up. A CRM is needed in every domain and industry, sir. But the way the CRM gets used in every domain and industry is very different. The way a CRM needs to be used in a healthcare domain, if the understanding of the healthcare domain is there, is going to make a lot of difference, is what we believe in. So we don't want to be called as like another CRM, CMS, or HMS solution provider. We want to be known as a company which understands healthcare and creates healthcare solutions through technology.
Very nice, very nice. So do you I mean, I guess not, but I still ask you, does your product or app need any kind of regulatory clearance? Not necessarily, I'm coming from a clinical trial standpoint, but any kind of regulatory check boxes you need to tick?
No, sir, not at present. We do not get into this area of digital therapeutics, but digital therapeutics in India is still unregulated. Some of the Western countries have started regulating it. So we are currently an India-focused player, and we are not into digital therapeutics as well.
Okay. Any reason why you decided to stick to technology and more around managing care rather than getting into the care itself? there are a lot of competing companies which are in the care management itself, in terms of diet and all those things. Any reason why you decided to stop short of providing care?
Sure, sir. I think I come from a technology background, so providing care is best left to the doctors. We wanted to manage and be a medium for care providing rather than getting into care. We thought those were a very large difference, and the expertise, the team composition needed for actually providing technology-based care would be very, very different. I think that's more to be with the composition of the team currently. But if we have the opportunity to work with teams or like-minded partners who can help provide technology-based care, we would love to explore it, sir.
Yes, I see an opportunity for partnering and conquering, as I say.
Yeah,
we can get into exponential growth. But of course, we will also hear from the audience. Ashwini, please tell me if you are on time. I have just a follow-on couple of questions.
Yes, sir. We can take just one more question and maybe we can wind up, sir. It's 5:45.
Okay.
We'll maybe take the last question and we'll wind up.
I have two follow-on questions, Ashwini.
Okay, sir. Yeah, please go ahead.
One is, very interesting, Parni. I've been tracking your background, and you had nothing to do with healthcare by background. What made you jump into this?
Okay, sir. Sorry, just to give you my background, I'm an engineer, MBA, had predominant of my career in finance. I was managing Citibank's mobile banking apps in 2010, 11, 12, the early days of mobile banking. So spent about 7 years tracking financial services, digital adoption of financial services. And when I wanted to start off, looked at so if you look at mobile adoption, so mobile as a device the smartphones gained prominence in 2010, 11, 12. So usually any technology adoption starts with financial services followed by retail. Then it becomes a part of lifestyle for everybody. You need to be there on the mobile. Almost every other service is now available. Now, a decade back, ATMs, branches were the primary channel for most of the mobile. You put this question now to anybody, when is the last time you visited the branch? It's more than a year, 2, 3. Everybody has adopted it. So it's a matter of 10 years. Branches have become quite insignificant in the financial services. When I looked around, healthcare is one service which was very difficult, and even today, with the adoption, there is no single significant digital health app which gives you an end-to-end healthcare service. Because the trust models are different, the way people pursue healthcare is very different from the way trust models or loyalties work with financial services and all. So when I was looking for an opportunity, the one opportunity that I saw was I had seen the growth wave in financial services. Healthcare has always been about 5-10 years behind financial services. So wanted to see if I could lead the wave in healthcare. That's it.
Yeah, you are a great role model to many others with similar background who want to jump into the tech bandwagon and domain bandwagon. And I'm sure you are an inspiring person for all of them. So I'm just going to pause here, Parni. I have one question, but I'm just going to wait. Ashwini, you want to shoot off any questions from the chat box? Or any others who have any questions?
So there is one question in the chat box, sir. So does insulin levels get monitored through your app? Why not focus on just diabetes for now instead of expanding categories?
Okay, so that's a conscious decision. We moved to expand categories very early. Diabetes itself is a very, very large segment. See, when we started off as a diabetes management platform, we realized that the adoption takes time. Now, adoption could be bought in by two methods. One is incentivizing, or two is wait for technology to be prominent for everybody to adopt. We had a technology, adoption was slow. We didn't have the financial backing to incentivize adoption. So to wait it out, we started moving categories. Does that answer your question, Mr. Govind? And the first question is, yes, insulin could be monitored. We are not API connected with the insulin pumps today, but yes, we could connect them to our app.
Yeah, hope that answered his question. So there is one more question, sir. Are you looking for clinical partner?
There we go.
Sure, sir. Open to discussion. I'll connect with Harshini to get your contact, and we can have a discussion, sir.
That's good.
Sure, yeah, I'll do that. So back to you, sir. So we maybe wind up in a couple of minutes because we have one more presentation left.
Okay. I have one final question for you, Parni, before we wind up. In fact, A and B. A is, if you have to reboot your company again, right? You know, you're already 3 years.
Yeah.
Assume you're starting all over again today. What would you do differently?
Sure. Couple of things. One is the 3 years also had a lot of my learning curve in healthcare and others. So if I had to reboot now, I think we could rebuild this company in 1 year because the learning curve is already there. Number two is earlier, I mean, we had to go through the phase where we were understanding the entrepreneurial ecosystem, the identifying the problems, identifying the needs, and then identifying a team to build it again. So if I had to reboot it now, I think with the current team, we could have rebuilt it in 1 year, but it all comes with its own curve. What would I have done better? Understanding the problems and needs, identifying the channels for it would have been much faster, sir.
Okay. Thank you, Parni. So any one-line message you want to give to all the budding entrepreneurs who are listening to you?
I think the most important thing in the journey, we are still an early company going through the journey. One is you have to show up, whatever happens. So to all the budding entrepreneurs, I think day in and day out, the best part is like showing up to work and keeping your heads in digged in and continuing your work. Because a lot of places, the pivots happened due to clients' questions of us. We started off as a diabetes management platform. A couple of clients asked us, why don't you do all subchronic and chronic? It's all the same. So keep your eyes, ears closer to the ground, dig deep and turn up every day. I'm sure it will take you places.
Brilliant, Parni. Thank you very much. We have run desperately out of time. Harshini is going to throw me out of this room. So thank you very much, Parni. We'll have follow-on conversation later. Thank you, Harshini.
Thank you so much, sir. It is a pleasure to be interviewed by you. Thank you again for the opportunity, HTIC and sir, to be a part of your session.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, sir. Thank you, Mohan sir, for your time and for joining us today. Thank you so much. And thank you, Palaniappan sir, for being with us for startup interview today. So moving on to the next part of the session. So this is the last presentation for the day. We have with us Dr. Rejith, CEO and founder of Airtize Technologies Private Limited. Over to you, Dr. Rejith, to start your presentation.
Hi, good evening. I'll start present the slide share. So our product name is QTM, and we'll start with the team actually. Myself, ENT surgeon. I would after ENT, I've been 9 years, 10 years now, and my other co-founders are Jobin, who is the CTO. He is 6 years in technology startup in Cochin, and Sunil is the marketing person. Is MBA marketing and sales. I know Sunil for the last 15 years and Jobin for the last 6 years. So why I needed as a doctor to start up is, am I audible? Hello?
Yes, sir, you are. Please go ahead.
The question is why I needed to start up. As a doctor, we hear a lot of stories, we hear a lot of problems of patients, and we have certain problems. And one of the problems which I faced personally was myself had dyslexia, and school learning and education was a difficult, tough task, and which actually I didn't know for a long period of time. I understood when I was in medical school, I was having dyslexia, and then underwent therapy for it. The problem with dyslexia is there is some genetic involvement. So as my son was born, he didn't speak for about 3.5 years. So thought he might be having problems, and actually he did have a bit of problem, speech delay. And I was working at which is a suburban area, bit of a rural area towards Shabrimala. So there were no speech therapists available. So we had to go and show speech therapists once in a month. And we found it very difficult even for as a being a doctor, and the specialty where I had to continue the treatment for him. My wife quit her job for 2 years, 2-3 years, and took care of her. So that was my personal experience where regular therapy was much needed, and he improved with 1 year of continuous therapy, and we had intermittent therapy afterwards, and he improved much better, and he's doing fine. ENT as a specialty, we deal with medicine, modern medicine in 3 ways. One is we do give medicines to treat, we do surgery, and we do therapy in certain cases for vertigo. And also we give speech therapy and solenoid therapy also. We have found that people are much convenient take medicines, and they might be sometimes reluctant for surgery, but if they do surgery, it's a one-stop done. But therapy, people don't follow up well. The problem is always the follow-up and continuous care, what is needed. So that is the reason why I thought we should have a continuation of therapy. Therapy should be continuous. And what can we do to make a therapy continuous? So that is why I started this start. And what is the thing about story in my startup, in our startup? It is not the story of my startup, it's actually the ability of people to say story is one of the most important ways you can communicate with people. Every patient comes to you with a story, and you tell them your conclusion and what to do the rest of the story. And language development, as per evolution, humans, the most important development, structural development that has happened is language development. No other species can learn language, only humans can do that. So that is one hardwired thing. But some of the children do have problems with language understanding. So language understanding comes in 2 ways, either by hearing or by seeing. So these defects need to be treated, and for everyone to be able to be a part of, understand stories, tell stories, and be a part of the story, they need to get a good therapy. So for any startup, I think we had 2 startups talk at that. We should look at what is the pain or the gain, or why are we doing it. So it was a pain for me, because my son I was worried about my son's speech, whether he will do. It is not the case with every people. The intensity of pain changes. If the pain is not severe, like if you have a small wound, there's a pain, it's okay. We'll take care of it later. That's how people live. We'll bear the pain. But if the pain is deep, we'll go in for therapy. And if the therapy is available nearby, you can go and get it. But if it's not there, then only the pain deepens and you'll go in search of therapy. That is where I think the long tail effect we can look at. And they have deeper pain, or for people who don't get therapy, those patients you can address. But I'm trying to change from the pain part to a need part, where people want to need the therapy. Something should be a need for them, not as a pain. So once you can change the from a pain to a need, then the patients or the parents will understand the therapy. The problem is that we started again, people are not following up. The reasons are usually the progress is not satisfactory, difficulty in commuting for frequent therapy. Therapy needs to be frequent. You cannot go once in a month. You need to do it every day, usually for severe cases. And the problem gets worse when usually the mother of the child is the one who goes with the child for every therapy. So they might get pregnant, or if their parents or in-laws get ill, the child's therapy stops. We have seen about the patients who stop them, 90% the mother get engaged in some other task, and they feel that pain is more than this pain. Loss of working days for the earning member is again in the poor socioeconomic people. They don't try to lose more time. So these children will need a little of physiotherapy and occupational therapy also. So what we thought, we started off initially was as a telemedicine platform for speech therapy, and it is both synchronous and asynchronous therapy. So that means the patient and the therapist need not be at the same time for therapy, and they need to do some physiotherapy. They need a little more focused video calling platform. So we are building. We build on. So just going to the current the evolution of treatment, we had initially had to go in search of the whole herbs and start. We had to go there and do. Then we started making and administering the point. And even now, physiotherapy, all the therapies are at that point where the medicine is being given or the treatment is being done at the point of the doctor only. We are not doing at home mostly. But modern medicine could move to a packaged solution. Initially, that can be sent by a doctor. Later, it can manufacture. So what we are trying to do is moving down the from third step to fourth and fifth step. So currently, we are doing web-based video therapy. We are not having an app. We are doing home-based assessment, video assessment of the progress of the child, and we are using this as a platform. We are providing it as a platform for the patients and therapists to connect with each other. We are bringing new therapists, and they can, even patients can do with the old therapist. We are using both synchronous and asynchronous teleconsultation. We are providing a free EMR for the basic EMR for the speech therapist, and the home video assignment is the one which we are focusing more on. And for the occupational therapists and speech therapists, we are giving an AR guided video consultation. This is a market size. Not much. And our business model is online. For online paid consultations, we are charging 20% of the consultation, and we are doing premium models for the digital medical records and asynchronous messaging, and for subscription based for the assistant for medical records, and for AI home assessment, we are charging 20% of the consultation fees.
Any queries from the participants end? You can post it in the chat box if you're not able to unmute yourself. Any queries before winding up the session? So in that case, we can wind up the session. Thank you so much, Dr. Rejith, for joining in with us today.
Thank you, HTC and TI for giving the opportunity to present. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. So thank you, participants. Thank you for joining us today this evening. Hope you all had a great session today. We will be posting a feedback form link in the chat box. So requesting you all to fill it out. So thank you all. Thank you for joining us. So next week we have the Ask Me Anything series on the next Tuesday. So you all can sign up for the event, and you all can join us with us the next Tuesday. Thank you all. Bye.